And we can do a little bit comparison with the appearances on Google and Baidu, so how different they are. So many of you may already familiar with this, but for those of you who are not really familiar with the search results page on Baidu, we'll have a little bit illustration about it. So this is the general search results page you got on Google, right? You search for the keyword hotels, you get this page with your paid listing and organic. This is the page you get on Baidu, right? On this page, you will have your PPC results on the top, on the right-hand side, right? And also you have your Baidu Open Platform, right? So that's through the APIs to few partners of this area. And also you have your Baidu Baike, which is Baidu Wikipedia. And also you have your SEO. So this is what the Baidu page looks like for this keyword hotel. But if we change to another keyword, Beijing hotel, or Shanghai hotel, or Sydney hotel, keyword like this, so this is still the Google page, same as usual. But if we go to Baidu, it's a little bit different this time. So you got all the PPC, paid search results. I mean, you can have up to 10 on the left-hand side, right? Many on the right-hand side, right? So that almost occupies your first screen, right? And also you have the Baidu Open Platform below, right? So in terms of this screenshot, the whole first screen is occupied by paid. Of course, you have the organic, but on the second screen, right? But still on the first page. Yeah, and if we change to a third keyword, which is Beijing hotel review, it's more long-term keywords. So this time Google is as usual, and Baidu is a little bit better this time, right? With limited PPC and more SEO, right? So this is most common three situations we got from Baidu currently. So lots of keywords, what we call, or what Baidu called is, not officially, but internally called money keywords. Right? So those keywords can generate lots of revenue for websites, which means they are willing to pay a lot for these keywords, like Beijing hotels, Shanghai hotels. These kind of conversion keywords, you will have many paid listings. But for long tail keywords, which may not be able to drive sales directly, or in other words, not that many advertisers are bidding for, like this kind of keywords, so you may have more organic listings. So this is a situation on Baidu. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is how to become successful on search in China, right? So China has Baidu, has 360, has Sogou, and also China, is different, but how can we do well on paid and organic search on China search engines? So here we have some tips. But of course, you have to do paid and organic at the same time. That's the same as the rest of the world, right? For Google, you have to do paid and organic at the same time as well. But in China, especially for Baidu, maybe you want to put a little bit more attention on paid, as Baidu has more paid listings. So that's maybe only differences. And for the China SEM landscape, of course, we mentioned we have Baidu as the first. So they have 63% market share, but maybe you want to put your budget is around 50 to 70%. That's the general speaking, but the reality depends on how well it goes. Right? It's always a dynamic situation to shifting your budget. But usually speaking, it costs you 50 to 70% of your total budget. Right? So that's for Baidu. And 360, although it got 19% market share, it's still a new search engine. The ad system, the whole ad network system is not that mature for 360 yet. Yeah. So that's why we saw some clients get really good results from 360, but some of them are really bad comparing to Baidu. So maybe you want to try 10 to 15% of your budget on 360 at this moment. It may change next year, but for this moment, so this is the situation. And for Sogou plus Soso, right, altogether, they got 15% of the market share, and the Soso brand will disappear by the end of the year and all merged into Sogou. And also you can try 15 to 30% of your budget. Because Sogou, although they have less market share, they are mature search engine existing for many years, also have a good or at least a mature ad system to support their biddings. So you can try Sogou, and also most of the time they are cheaper than Baidu in terms of CPC and ROI. So Sogou is it's a search engine, but it's worthwhile to try. And also you have Tencent actually for social and mobile ads. And of course, like in the Western world, right? You may consider to do a Facebook ad, right? But in China as well, apart from social, we do have Tencent, which is really strong for social. Not really talking about WeChat here, but the QQ Zoom, right? The Tencent, the general community of Tencent, which is huge. So they also have pretty good social ad system. It may not as good as Facebook, but they did a lot of work in the last couple of years to improve their social ad system. So it's worthwhile to try. We really saw good results from some customers, but not so good from others. So you have to try to see if it really fits your situation. So, and also Tencent is good on mobile. Not only WeChat, but also the QQ portal on mobile, the QQ chat on mobile, they're all quite strong. So Tencent is good for social and mobile for biddings. So this is the general landscape for China search market. And also in China for the landscape by format, it's also a little bit different, right? We have the brand zone in China, which is not really there for Google. And also we have search ads, search ads, content ads, and social ads as well. But you have to do both for most PC and mobile at the same time. And by talking about brand zone, right, you may have heard about this before. So that's something is not existed on Google, but innovated by Baidu. So generally speaking, Baidu is not a good company by innovation, right? It's always copying Google, but except one part, which is monetize their traffic. Baidu is really good at. So they came out with this kind of ideas, right, to maximum or help you to maximum your budgets, right, most effectively for your branded keywords, which is called brand zone. So it's a fixed price, depends on your search volume. So Baidu will calculate your brand search volume and give you a quote by month, right? So it depends. It really varies from very little to very big numbers. And by spending with Baidu for this brand zone, you will have this big chunk of space on the screen, right? With the customized links, banners, etc. Right? So this is something, if you do carry a good brand, and this is something you definitely want to try, because we did lots of testing with or without brand zone, it did make big difference for your brand search terms. Without brand zone, your branded search may get like 20 to 30% of the click-through rate, but with brand zone, if you do the brand zone correctly, it's attractive, you can get up to 80, 90% of the click-through rate for branded terms. So it's good for get your customers who already know to protect your brand and prevent from the competitors to get your brands as well. So this is a brand zone. And 360 and Sogou all have the similar format for brand zone. And also you have the search ads, right? And Baidu has two ways of display your search ads. One way is like this, with Tui Guang, which means paid, links to show is paid links. And also they have a second format, which is similar to Google with a gray background. So there's two ways to show, paid search ads on Baidu. Yeah, and also you have the content ads as well. You have the content network, display network for Google, but also Baidu has this one as well. So Baidu content ads, or we call Baidu the affiliate, is also pretty good. It's worthwhile to try. Yeah, next one is social ads, like we mentioned. So Tencent has pretty good social ad system, and it's huge volume. Because Tencent has a QQ Zone. They have billions of traffic every day. So really you can, if you find time, dig out, you'll really be able to find some really quality traffic at very low cost. So that's definitely achievable. And not that many companies yet to spend on social ads, so still have opportunities to grab the cheap traffic. Yeah, and also Taobao, of course. And if you are really into Taobao, for many brands, we do recommend to have a Tmall store at least. Right? You can have your standalone websites, but it's better still have a Tmall shop at the same time for sell, mainly for sell your products. But if you do have a Tmall shop, and Taobao advertisement system is also something you have to try. Yeah, so the general strategy we see is to do the SEM in China, definitely you want to start with a brand zone if you do carry a good brand. But if you are SME or smaller brand, you may not, worth to try. But if you do have a brand, and brand zone is something first you may want to tap to. Secondly is search ads. So mainly is Baidu, 360, and Sogou. And you may not want to spend all your money on Baidu because it could be expensive for some keywords. But if you spread out wisely between Baidu, 360, and Sogou, it will give you much better performance. And Google is, they only have 2%, but Google is sometimes it's good for A/B testing, right? So Google has a good ecosystem with the web optimizer, right? So you all may be familiar with. So, but Baidu doesn't. Baidu doesn't have the ecosystem as good as Google for A/B testing, etc. So Google could be good for A/B testing your landing pages, right? So you spend a little bit of money, you use Google's web optimizer, something you are familiar with, testing out your landing page to see the conversion rate before you spend more money on Baidu. So Google would be good for this. And also content ads, you will have the Baidu affiliate, and also Google Content Network still works in China. The entire Google team, Google still have about 500 people in China. All their work now is about content ads and Android. Right? So Google Content Ads still works in China. Although search is minimal, but content ads still works. And also, Sogou has a content ad system as well, but it's relatively smaller comparing to Baidu and Google. And also for social and mobile, you have Tencent, you have Baidu, mobile search ad is also quite good as well. And also Google maybe for mobile ad, and another standalone, or the largest standalone mobile platform, mobile advertising platform called Dumob, in China. Yeah, so that's the general strategy you want to start with. But also, for steps, so first of all, you have to set up the accounts with Baidu, with 360, with Sogou, right, before you do any investment. But setting up the accounts is not as easy as Google, right? For Google, you can just open the website, sign up by yourself. But in China, this process is far more complicated, right? Because Baidu, 360, Sogou, they all have different agency systems, right? So different agency you go and different methods you go. For example, you have the choice to go through a domestic or as an international client. And also you have the choice to go through as a key customer or SME customer. It's all different. The most hassle we have saw is lots of companies, they started with small budget. They thought the SME channel is easier to start with. That's true. It's easier to open an account. But when they add up the budget fairly quickly after a year maybe, then they want to switch from SME to KA system. Because KA system has much better support, they found out it's impossible. Because internal Baidu have the strict policy. If you want to switch from SME to KA, you have to stop bidding for at least 3 months. So you couldn't spend any money for at least 3 months in order to transfer. So that's really a lot of painful there. So you really have to plan ahead. So how much money you want to spend and which channel you want to go through and as which kind of company, international or domestic. Because some media, they give good policies for international companies. You may get better deal and better discount. Yeah. So etc. Setting up the account is a key in the beginning. Because if you ignore this step, it may give you a big hole in the future. And of course, after you start this process, it's a media planning, right? So you have 3 different search engines, different content networks and social networks, and how you want to spend your money across this media. It definitely need lots of plannings. And also after this is keep optimizing and monitoring. It's same as your other paid search campaigns. Yep. So this is a general overview for the China SEM, the paid search market, right, in general. But also you have the SEO as well. SEO is still very important in China, right? And it's a fundamental for all your online marketing strategies, in my opinion, right? So SEO is a fundamental thing you have to do, right? As paid search is getting more and more expensive in China as well. In terms of the CPC price, so Baidu's CPC is about half of the CPC for Google in the US. It's still not as expensive as US, but it's getting there. It's getting more and more expensive every year. So SEO is becoming more and more important in terms of saving some cost.